Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Marion County Hardball. I want to remind everybody that Marion County Hardball is a platform that is open to all candidates. We don't care what party you belong to, whether you're Republican, Democrat, or Independent. And of course, we're also open to any county or city officials that want to come on and be interviewed as well. Tonight, we have Michael Scott Burnette, who is running for Marion County Sheriff. Michael, why don't you tell them about your background?
Real quick, I'm a retired major in the United States Army, 20 years in Army Special Operations, specifically Special Forces, aka Green Berets, and also Psychological Operations. And I'm also a 20 retiree from the Vancouver Police Force, Vancouver, Washington. Retired police.
Well, Michael, how's your campaign going, and what have you learned?
Well, I think it's going well. I've had a lot of feedback, both online, on my Facebook page, which I'm still learning how to actually navigate. My wife is like, come on, you should know. I'm still technically deficient in Facebook. But, and also face-to-face, a lot of face-to-face. People have come up to me in places like Walmart or Food City and have made comment to me, asked questions. I've been in several events, and same thing, saying, asking questions, and just saying that they recognize me. So that's good. What I've learned is more drive to do this. I see things happening because I'm an observer. And you can't not be an observer in special operations. I mean, special forces is all about observing your environment, being able to blend in and everything. So you can't not observe things, right? And as a police officer, that was even honed even more. So I observe things, and I see things constantly, and I see officer failures in a lot of areas, and typically officer safety. It's officer safety. I'm a big officer safety guy, and it's not the fault of any one officer or deputy, it's the fault of leadership. And the reason why it's a fault of leadership could be because they don't know either. And I'm to a point in my Facebook page that I have local followers, because before it was like, high school, that kind of thing. And I mean, that's nice, but it doesn't really help get word out. And finally, I have people now follow me, so I'm doing videos now. So that's another thing, so I can get information out.
I wanted to ask you a follow-up question on the officer safety. It's officers, your issues with officers' safety, are they procedural or is it equipment?
It's actually both.
Okay.
It's both. Procedural-wise, so I see this officer, and he actually is, and I'm not throwing dirt. As God is my witness, I'm not throwing dirt. Okay, I'm not going to name names, but this is a change that I can bring. Okay, so I have to point things out so people understand what is it that I can bring. Okay, there is an individual that's running for sheriff, and I've seen him on several investigations, whether it's a crash, contact and a subject, and he's not wearing body armor. Okay, and when I first came on as a police officer in 2001 or so, there were some old timers in, my age, and they were saying that how they used to not wear body armor in the 70s, the 80s, and how important it is. And coming from my world in special operations, I know how important body armor is. Okay? And so you don't go a day without wearing body armor. And my sergeant, one night working graveyard shift, he's a very proactive guy, love the guy. We had a home invasion robbery. The two people had guns. They're leaving at high speed out of the area. My sergeant just happens, and he's like a magnet for this stuff, but he just happens to roll up on that car, and it's cold this time of night, and that window's down, and he didn't recognize the fact that the window's down, and there's a window down for a reason in this cold of night, and as he's approaching the car, he gets shot right here from about 3 feet away with a 9mm, okay? What stopped that bullet was not the pocket-sized law book that he kept in his back pocket, that went right through it, but the body armor. Knocked him on his butt, made a big old bruise, okay? But the body armor saved his life. I have another friend, they were doing a SWAT call out on occupied structure, and rounds started coming from the inside out through the walls. He got hit in the head. It just happened to hit his helmet. So body armor is a very real necessity, and when I see this day and age, and I don't just see it here, I've seen it other places. When I see an officer contacting a subject, doing an investigation in the public arena without body armor, and that person wants to become a sheriff, that's a problem, okay? And I'm not diming the person out. What I'm saying is there is a failure in leadership at multiple levels, and that is the inability to look outside the box. As a leader, you have to not just take care of your organization. You need to be up on the most current tech. You need to be up on what's happening. What are the biggest trends? You need to be tied in to the intelligence net through the FBI, maybe the agency, some other intel nets on what's going on, so you're on top of things. You need to go to these symposiums that professionals hold for law enforcement and things. So you're up on what's going on. So you make sure that your people are trained the best that they can. And I'm not even going to spend the time going to firearms, but that's a big problem too. Okay? And I had the fortunate and honor to actually, the first 2 years I was here, to actually help conduct the qualifications for the county. And so I got to see all the county officers, or deputies, and the Kimball officers. South Pittsburgh didn't attend. And they only get to shoot one time a year, and that's for qualifications. And I understand training, the time, budgets, etc. But here's the problem. The citizens expect better when a man or woman are carrying a gun. When you're charged with saving or taking a life, you have a higher responsibility. You have a higher duty. Okay? You can't just take that gun out of that holster and shoot it once a year for qualifications. Okay?
Makes a lot of sense.
There is so much that goes into carrying that gun besides just pulling the trigger. It's also brain. What the brain goes through in high stress and life or death stress. All these things come into play the moment that person puts that gun on.
So is it fair to say that, let's say we have Sheriff Burnette, the SOP for the Sheriff's Department is going to change dramatically?
Absolutely. And the gun range itself. So Bo showed up, and I don't know Bo, never met him before in my life. But I knew he was the sheriff by one, the way he was holding himself, and the way he was dressed. He was not dressed like a deputy. Okay? And so I figured that was the sheriff, and I asked, is that the sheriff? And the range master said it was. So I'm helping control the range, and Bo comes up to me and goes, so what do you think about this range? And this is where I give Bo kudos. I said, seriously? He's like, yeah. I go, it sucks. I go, it's absolutely dangerous. And he goes, well, why would you say that? And just as I mentioned that to him, I'm looking towards the bullet traps where everyone's shooting towards, and at the top is a dump truck going by, or a garbage truck going by, and you can see the driver. I go, that right there. You know,
why do you think you were the first one to announce for your candidacy for sheriff, and no one else no one else at that point.
I know why I announce. I'm not afraid to step in the dark. You know, I mean, I've been a lot of places, and I used to work at night and as a cop, so I could stay in the dark to do things, to watch and observe and practice my trade. And I'm not afraid to take on a challenge, and I'm not afraid to push the envelope. But the one thing is, I was asked, and I said this on a video. I've done 2 videos in my Facebook page. The first one, I finally came out and said, I'm doing it because I have validated for myself the rumor that I'd heard that there's a good old boy system. Okay? And that is why I'm running. And I flat out said in that video, I'm not running for sheriff. I can't do politics. I am absolutely a conservative. I'm absolutely a patriot, and I believe in this country, and it is a constitutional republic. Okay? But I do not advocate that on any level for a sheriff. And what I'm seeing is, I want to change the system so it doesn't benefit a few, and everyone. It benefits everyone. I want the fair and equitable application of law.
Let's get something out of the way. There's been a lot of talk that you're not post certified.
Right.
So can you go through real quick for the audience? Let them know what you had to do in order to get the post to approve you running for sheriff.
Okay. So POST means, it's an acronym for Police Officer Standards and Training. Most of the United States uses that standard in their academies to certify law enforcement officers. Most of the United States. But of course, Washington State, no, they have to be special. They don't. They use Criminal Justice Training Center, CJTC, okay? And we go to a basic law enforcement academy, or BLEA. So in order to have that post-certification waived, I have to show that I, 1, graduated from CJTC, which is a certificate, and 2, I had to send in the curriculum with the number of hours and what was taught, and so it matches basically post-certification, and it does.
Absolutely. So you're good to go.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So the folks that are out there saying you're not post, it's not true.
It's true. I'm not post. Absolutely not.
But you're certified.
But my certification is waived because I'm equivalent. Absolutely, that's the same.
No, you're obviously not an establishment candidate. Why do you think the other candidates for sheriff won't come on the show?
I don't know. What I was getting at is, I'm not running for sheriff. Everyone out there is running for sheriff. Okay? I don't do politics, and especially in law enforcement, because Lady Justice is blind for a reason. She's blindfolded, not blind. Okay? Justice is done without bias. All right? I'm assuming that the reason why these others, I think everybody and their mom came out to run for sheriff. You know, I don't even have a count of how many, and I don't really care. What I'm thinking is,
8?
I don't
8 or
know.
9?
Is it 8?
I think it is.
Okay, so I know that there's deputies and there's an officer there going for sheriff as well, and I'm not addressing them and the reason why I'm not addressing them is because I get it. You don't want to run against your own sheriff, because if you don't win against your own sheriff, what's going to happen to you? I understand that. I think it'd be wrong for a sheriff to do anything to that deputy if he didn't make it, except sort of, hey, good job, and way to step up or something. That would be the right way to go. But as far as the 2 chiefs are, now, I know the South Pittsburgh chief. I mean, I don't know him, but I've talked to him. I want to help train their men to go from iron sights to optics, because I've done like 30 years of firearms instruction, and our department is one of the best. We just had a podcast. I'm going to put that on thing. Just had a podcast about a firearms program with 2 of my former firearms instructors and range master. But I was told, and then the other chief, I don't know him at all from Jasper. And what I don't understand is why a chief would want to run for sheriff. I get it if it's a promotion, because you have a higher number of personnel, a higher pay, well, mostly personnel, because it should not be. You shouldn't be in this job if it's paid. But it isn't. It's a lateral move. Why would a chief, the top law dog in that city, want to leave the city they've served, and apparently served it well because they're still chief, and leave their personnel who have built loyalty to them for the sheriff when it's a lateral movement?
I think the pay is substantially.
I think it
more.
is more.
I think
It is?
it's close,
It is more,
close to
yes.
100,000.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably.
And it's a little bit of a more prestigious job too, I think.
Yeah.
What makes the sheriff more prestigious?
It's county level.
Well, it's a bigger
Bigger area, yeah.
Yeah, but if you have less officers, okay. For me, it sounds like a power thing,
Mm-hmm.
not
Yeah, I get where you're going with that.
and not pay.
Politic-wise, I think there's a lot of people in this county that are afraid to politically speak out. And one of the fears that I've always heard, well, I'll be retaliated against. I'm going to have to watch how I drive. I'm going to have to be super careful about what I do because they're going to come after me. So as sheriff, how would you curtail that fear that the public has?
I've already had that happen to me. What you're talking about. I can't even tell you the number of people who told me to my face, I'm going to vote for you, but I can't tell anybody.
Now, what would you do?
I'm just, it blows my mind. It literally just, I'm just like, it's crazy.
It is.
You know, as a sheriff, no, they're absolutely not. There should be no reason why I get so angry. There's no reason why a citizen should be afraid of law enforcement. I mean, not ever. Right? Not ever. I mean, it's in the Bible. All right? Right? Matthew. Right? 5. I'm not really good at exactly where, but blessed are the peacemakers, for they're the children of God. There's a reason for that. Okay? You don't take advantage of people. It makes me so mad. You don't.
Well, you're
And they should be afraid.
You're going to have to, as sheriff, you're going to have to deal with the county commission and the mayor because your budget is reliant. You know, he can come in and I think they just reduced Bo's budget because of fuel cost. Trying to think, that was probably during the last budget session. So there's a little bit of politicking that you might have to do.
Nah, not doing politics.
Not
Just
doing it.
no, just facts.
Okay.
It's just facts. People want safety. People don't want officers. If they get in a shooting, they don't want the officer missing and hitting a building. They want people to show up to their neighborhoods. That takes gas. Officers need to be safe, and they need to know that what they're doing is going to be safe. I.e., no officer should ever show up on a domestic violence call, even if it's a quote-unquote argument, without backup. Okay? I can't tell you the number of times I was a backup for one of my partners, and like, no, don't worry about it. No, I'm going. And I end up getting in a chase, tackling somebody, drawing my gun on somebody, because the suspect typically always comes back.
We have a question from Joy here. How important is it to have DAs and judges that prosecute and punish criminals firmly? Can you render an opinion, or can he render an opinion if he feels the local LEO are being treated fairly by local judges and their work taken seriously and the law followed with judgments enforced?
I don't understand the question. I'm sorry.
Okay. How important is it to have DAs and judges that prosecute and punish criminals firmly? Can you render an opinion on whether you feel that the local LEO are being treated fairly? law enforcement officers
Yeah.
are being treated fairly by local judges and their work taken seriously and the law followed with judgments enforced.
Okay. So, I think I understand the question. I think the question is saying, do I have an opinion on how the back end of justice is served, i.e. after the arrest, and the subject is, the arrestee is turned over, and then it goes through the justice system. Okay?
Right.
That is not for me to judge. Okay, what I'm saying is, I actually got yelled at in court because I told the lawyers I don't play the lawyer game, the reindeer lawyer game. Okay? I'm just going to say what the facts are. I know what the law is. The law is black and white. Okay? The law says, like, if we're here right now and some guy forces his way into this door and he's drunk and belligerent and they come to arrest him, okay, that's trespassing. Or, yeah, okay? The law, now the judge or the lawyers, they can argue back and forth. The guy has no history, the guy is this, he's that, whatever, and they may plead it down to just community service. He gets no charge at all. Okay, that is not for my judgment. That is for the lawyers and the judges, not mine.
So the same thing applies when someone says,
I hope that answers the question.
I think it did. Same thing applies when I've got a ticket, Michael, can you make it go away?
Someone, as a sheriff, absolutely not. And that's, again, it's not. In fact, I heard about 2013, I heard that, I think it was the mayor of this city was doing like 75 miles an hour through here. He got pulled over and...
That was a city administrator.
A city administrator, okay. Got pulled over and one or two officers got fired. And then maybe rehired later. But that's the problem, okay? And in fact, this wasn't meant to be a pitch. I'm speaking on Friday at this event in South Pittsburgh, and it is not, I've been asked to speak about this right here, about running for sheriff. I'm not.
So I think I get
It's going to be about
what you're saying. What I hear you say is that, hey, listen, if you need a favor to get a ticket to do away with, go talk to your lawyer and the judge.
Absolutely.
Don't talk to you because you've done your job.
Absolutely.
Well, that's the answer we like to hear.
Do you know what's so obvious? What's really crazy about right? What happens when a sheriff gets political? What is the extreme example when a sheriff allows politics to enter into law enforcement? I mean, we have a million examples going on right now. I got one from Vancouver. What happened to us? But what happened? The most extreme example of what happens to a sheriff when he gets political. 1927 Christmas shootout. It's right there. The sign is in front of the Steve Marino's restaurant. It's famous. That sheriff was pro-union. The other was the chief, I think it was not. There was a big shootout. The sheriff dies. 6 people die. That is what happens when a sheriff allows himself to be political on anything.
Okay, so what about your deputies becoming commissioners?
Absolutely not. Again, no. You have to be unbiased. You have to be able to stand on a stand, enact the law, and be completely unbiased. You can't have it.
I asked for questions the other day, and one of the questions I got, I believe it was directed at you, I think you did post a reply on it of some sort, was about turning point action. Are you involved?
I haven't replied.
Huh? You didn't reply?
I have not.
Oh.
My wife may have.
Okay.
But I haven't replied.
Are you, they were asking how turning point action wound up in Marion County.
Dude, I don't know.
Okay.
I know that the people behind it are good people. Their heart is in the right place, and it's not about the politics. It's actually about Christ. It's about bringing faith back into politics. It's Charlie Kirk. It's about Charlie Kirk. It's about everything that young man was trying to bring to campuses. In fact, they talked to the school board educator, or the school board administrator, and he's going to contact all the schools in the county and get a group set up in all the schools for the kids to attend and learn how faith-based things.
Well, and I think one of the, and we've actually spoke about this, the establishment clause, and the wall of separation. You as sheriff, you obviously, from a religious standpoint, you can do that privately, but as the sheriff, you're not gonna be out there saying, you know, I'm a Baptist or a Methodist.
No,
and,
that's,
you know, because you obviously
it's not
have
the place.
different faiths that
Yeah.
are in the
Right. It's
county.
not-
You do believe in separation of church and state. basically.
Absolutely,
Okay.
it's not the place.
And the separation of powers.
And
too.
separation of powers.
Separation of powers of it.
That's something I don't think we really have here in Marion County, is the separation of powers. People may disagree, but that's how I feel. Well, in closing, what would you like to close with? What would you like to tell the audience?
I would like any and all questions, and if I can answer them, I will let you know. If I can't, I'll do everything I can to find out. I have a limited base of knowledge because I'm not internal, and I don't mean I'm not from here. I mean, like Vancouver Police, I can answer a lot of questions about a lot of things because I have a lot of intimate knowledge about it. Here, I can't. I would say though, no hate. Okay? And I'm going to address that on Friday. Like I said, I got invited to talk. My talk is not about running for sheriff. My talk is about problems in this country and what we can do about it. But I'm seeing things on Facebook, and there's no reason for the hate. Like, you can't trust this guy and anything he says. How would you know? You don't know me. Or, I'm not going to say some of those things. But the bottom line is, and I know there's one individual I've heard, I'm not going to go verify, but I've heard this individual is a deputy, and I've heard he's possibly a sergeant. And I'm going to tell you right now that if that is the case, I expect better. Okay? You may be for someone else, you may be running yourself, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not checking rosters. Okay? But if you are a professional and you're in this business, I expect better.
Would you, are you good with debating any of the other candidates if we can get them on the show? Would you debate them on the show?
Yeah, sure.
So there we have it.
There we have it, folks. Okay, well, I don't think we're going to cut between interviews. So if you would like to switch positions.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you,
And
Scott.
thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next interviewee is Pixie Kilgore. Hi. And you're running for county commission, is that correct?
County Commission, District 2, Seat B.
And would you like to give us your background information?
I would. I'm a lifelong resident of Gill, Tennessee. I've lived there my whole life. I am very interested in community, and I worked for 41 years at a leading insurance company. My background is in project management, finishing projects on time within budget. I also had a stint working with market conduct exams and audits. I'm currently on the board of the Hilltown Fire Department as their treasurer, where budgets, money spending, all that type of oversight is definitely one of my main jobs, along with the rest of the board and of course the firemen. And I really believe that community is important.
Pixie, what's the one topic that got you motivated to run? And by the way, thank you for running. Thank you.
Appreciate that. One of the things I've been attending
Speak up, please.
I've been attending the county commission meetings for quite some time, and I do feel like Marion County is in a very good financial spot with a AA rating, but I also feel like we can be very mindful of our spending and exercise some extra focus there, as well as just making sure that we have integrity there and accountability.
So with the topics that a lot of people are always interested in common, so it's roads and schools. So as a commissioner, you're not, I mean, we have commissioners right now that, I think there's many commissioners on that's never put anything even on the agenda. And the mentality of you gotta go along to get along. Well, what's your thoughts on that?
I do feel like that you do have to work together as a county commission for the county as a whole. But that said, we need to be mindful of smart spending, and also within the smart spending to make sure that we have public safety on our list of things to do, which will include not only law enforcement from the gentleman we just spoke to, but fire and rescue, that kind of thing. You see things on the news all the time about things hitting communities, whether it's natural disaster or, you know, God forbid, some just attack in general. So I just feel like we need to make sure those things are in place to be prepared if something does happen.
Well, I've heard a lot of good things about you. In closing, is there anything that you would like to say?
I appreciate the opportunity to run. I have received several some supportive comments, and if elected, I plan to work very hard with integrity, be approachable and accountable. And Marion County deserves respect to their voters about our spending, and to keep that very much intact and in control. And so I am looking forward to the election. You will see my name on the ballot for the general election, which is August 6th of this year, 2026, and I am excited.
And just so on the ballot, you'll be an independent?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I thank you very much for coming, and Duke as well.
And are you willing to debate on Marion County Hardball if we have a candidate that's willing to debate with you?
Sure. We're
Okay.
willing to have a debate, yeah.
Okay, absolutely.
Outstanding.
Well, and you're welcome to come back anytime you like.
Appreciate that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we thank everybody for joining us tonight. We hope to be back at least next week with another set of interviews on Marion County Hardball. Thank you very much.